So here to talk through the Star Battle Myopia puzzle by Jinhoo. It's a variation that we included in the Star Battle 2 book that Jinhoo wrote a few months ago, and this is our first time on the website, but it's a good and interesting variation. It's taking a myopia roll that's often used in loop styles, but where the idea is the arrows point to the closest element that's seen, and directions not point at the arrows do not have those elements. One thing you can always do with the stars, say where a star can be as close as one cell here, it can't have a star one cell away in the unused spaces. So the first thing is just around every single clue, mark every edge that's not pointed at by an arrow. But not just do that, actually think through what that means. Like in this case, I marked off a cell because of the clue to the right here, but look at the clue above. It's pointing to a star, but it can't be in the first cell. And actually for different reasons, we also couldn't put stars right in these spots. Like this is a clue when you've got a 90-degree adjacent set of arrows. It's going to always kick off the first cell. That means we have to kick away, sort of 2 away in the unused direction, so that a 2 away set would be valid. Notice that 2 or 3 away is going to be required. This has to point to a star up above because there is an arrow there, and so we only have 2 options left. So we'll put this into the grid. Actually now marks off this region so we know where the 2 stars go. More critically, via the myopia clue, we need to have a star that's also 2 or 3 away in these other directions. And notice one thing that does is it now eliminates cells down below for where this arrow does point. So this now has a 3 or more cell requirement going down, which means we have to be 3 or more away in all our directions. And marking off this cell here is probably the most key. Notice this 10th column is now empty except for the cells in this region. So the 2 stars have to be in this 1x3 space, here, 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 and in this 1x3 space, or where the 2 stars will go. So we're not taking these cells, but we're also not taking anything else in this region. And that critically forces the star up to be 2 away, so 2 away, 2 away to complete that myopia clue. Now marked most of the cells in this region, so this is where the second star goes. This Parquet theme, we're looking at 2x6 rectangles a whole lot, but notice there'll be 2 stars down here, so I get 1, 2, 3, 4. These can't be filled because we would then have too many. We'd have 5 stars in these 2 columns, so star has to go here. That actually means we have in 2 regions just 2 stars, but limited to 1 set of columns. And in these rows, we have a parquet shape where we've finished this row. So now the other row is pretty interesting. It's got 4 cells left. Got to have a star in the left 2 and in the right 2. That cancels these above. In marking those in, we actually now just have 2 cells that could take stars in the 4th row. That now gives us effectively these 5 stars in the row above, and these positions will mark off options to keep the 3rd row from being completed, but there's probably some more info which will give us a faster finish for the space. So let's look around at other clues we haven't used. And sometimes when you play stars, it's like where a clue is not directly pointing at some of those things. So this coming down is not pointing to a star that's 3 away, so there's got to be a star at least 1 or 2 away. So that's one thing I'll put in. We marked off like this cell here down below and actually the cell up above. So this says there aren't things 2 away in these 3 directions because the closest star could be here. And this one, which doesn't have a star 1 away, can't have a 1 away up top, but it can't have a 2 away up top, so it can't have a 2 away down below. So it's 3 or 4. But looking in this direction, it has to be exactly 3. So we put in the star, put in the star, put in the star that's also 3 away. So this clue is now fulfilled. We've got to cancel in the other direction things that aren't at least 3 away. So that gives me a star here and a star here and cancels that spot. This column's finished. And one thing that now does is actually this 3rd row, we were saying we were pretty close to things. You only now have 4 of those 5 cells left. So you can put this in. That leaves the 2nd row to require these cells. This top thing's being pointed at. Notice that this region has 1, 2 stars already. So this is forced to go left. That means the last in the space is in this rightmost region. This region has a 1x2 and a 1x2 we put in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stars now in the left 2 columns. So I got to cancel those off, put this in. This clue will now always work. This clue isn't yet working, but it's probably going to be somewhat constrained. But maybe we want to look a little further out. Actually putting the star in completes this column. So this will give us some quick progress to use. And it now means this clue is looking fine. And so we're really back to now considering some stuff over here. So this down arrow is going to be the 2nd star in this column. This is another kind of logic we haven't necessarily used yet, but where we've got 1 star already in this column and an arrow is pointing at an unknown 2nd star. This has to be left, and it actually means that one of these 2 cells is where the other star goes in this column, so we can mark off these. This being 4 away means we can't use this cell here that's 4 away to make this work, so we're going to have to put a star 1 or 2 away from this arrow clue. That cancels this, it puts in this, it finishes this row. Last space for a star in this row. This region now only has these two spots, but that finishes this row and moves these stars up. It finishes this spot, puts in this star. We now really have to figure out how to get these last ones to work. And this is a clue we haven't kind of considered. After we move this to these 2 stars away, we can't have a star here, here, which would also be 2 stars away. So these both move right. Last use of the myopia clue and finishing with the last move to the left, we've got through the whole puzzle. So hopefully something useful in watching this variation, at least about how to apply the myopia rules, but it was still coming back to some key star battle type constraints, like how we were counting stars in sets of 2 columns together, particularly the parquet pattern with these 2x6 rectangles as a set of ways looking vertically, like over here, or horizontally, that you would get sets of stars that have to work together, and that slowly worked through the grid. Certainly these intersecting clues here and here were the big break-ins, and so if you even focus your attention in those kinds of spots, you'll have good headway in future myopia puzzles you'll solve of this style. Certainly if you get the Star Battle 2 book, there are 4 puzzles there which are really brilliant introductions for this puzzle style, so hopefully you do check out that work. So thanks for watching this video. We'll see you again soon.